Well, good afternoon, ACA families and our Griffin tribe. This is Craig Sims, the Executive Director of Schools. Wanted to give you a quick update to our parents and our families to make sure that you are fully equipped to make the decisions you need to make for your families as we navigate this shelter in place and at-home remote instruction. So let me just touch base with a few things that I know that you have been curious about. We too have been curious about as information keeps changing. First, I want you to know that the board met last night and we came to a consensus that our facilities will remain closed as long as the health of our families is in question. We don't want to put anyone in danger, but just know that the learning continues. So many of you may be asking, well, are we going to be able to open on April 3rd? Are we going to be able to open on April 7th? To be honest, we are not the only ones that get to decide that. So instead of constantly pushing a date around and making changes based on the decision makers that are out there, we are just going to note that we are going to stay closed until further notice. So our facilities are closed, but our learning continues. We just want to make sure that you are safe and healthy and that you're set up with what you need to continue the learning. And we want you to know that we are here for you. In order to provide that healthy and safe environment, we are going to announce a new schedule for resource and packet pickup starting on Monday. Um, Basically, at intermediate and primary campus, they are going to be open on Mondays from 9 a.m. to noon, Tuesdays from 1 to 3. That's the normal drive-through pickup and drop-off times. Then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we want to try to make sure people are available to contact students and make the connections they need to make. So we're asking that you make appointments either through your teacher or by contacting the campus to schedule pickups. And then on Fridays, we're closing the campuses to the public, and that will allow us freedom to set up those staff meetings virtually and to have those meetings that we need without concern of people needing us outside. So what this means is that absolutely, ultimately, we are here for you. No matter what you need, when you need it, we can schedule a time for you to pick it up. The middle school campus is a little bit different because of the variety of needs that your student might have based on their schedule of classes. So please continue to do what you have been doing, and that's request resources and packets through your student's teacher. So there's been a lot of questions about remote instruction and what it means. And first and foremost, we want you to understand that remote instruction for ACA is not necessarily our full ACA curriculum being sent home. Um, our families, we recognize, have very, very diverse needs. We have families where both members of the family, the parents are out working away from home. Children are with other loved ones or being cared for by some type of arranged child care. And the amount of time and instructional assistance for each of these kids can vary a great deal. We have families who are at home right now working from home, and that doesn't mean that they have all this time to dedicate to instructional support. So we absolutely recognize that, and we want you to know that we're facing the same thing. We are working full time. Some of us are working in offices, some remotely, and some on the campuses. And then based on whatever our family's needs are, we're trying to do our best to accommodate each and every one of our staff members as well. They have kids at home. They have at-home instruction to do with them. And so we absolutely sympathize with what you're going through. So please know we are here for you. Next week, we will have some online virtual parent university opportunities to assist you as you care for your students and to help understand the expectations of our remote instruction. But for now, I want to go over some of it with you just to hopefully help alleviate some of your concerns. We know that some of you have 3 kids and varying grade levels at our school. You might have a kindergartner, a fifth grader, and an eighth grader, and that's a lot to deal with. We want to make sure that our system can be adjusted to accommodate your needs. So we came into this answering this challenge through partnership. We went through a lot of considerations, the number of children in households, information about access to devices and access to parental adult support. We did all that through our Google survey that we sent out to our families. We had about 80% of our families participate, so we feel like we have a really good idea of the different arrangements that our families are having to work within. We also looked at what that means for how much time could be dedicated to learning based on these family dynamics and family routines. We had lots of discussions about the importance of respecting roles, the importance of the skills that we need to focus on. We looked at research on regression to try to help mitigate any possibility of regression. Of course, we also looked at things like access to materials and what is the executive functioning level of expected independent work at each grade level, what would be expected. Um, and then we too always want to be sensitive to family social and emotional needs, your parent work schedules, all of the other responsibilities that you have, and then how unsure everything is for you and your family as well as you face all the different dynamics of this time. So please know that we are very much operating within those considerations, and that while we're establishing a remote learning system and your students need to be accessing that learning at some level, you as the parent are in control of that at-home instruction, and we need your guidance and your help with your students to be the person to say, okay, based on my family dynamic and what we're facing, this is the amount of time I can dedicate to this. So I'm going to make certain things a priority. And that's really where our 3-tier design came in. We basically called our tier 1 our priority 1 instructional support at home. And these are focus areas that we wanted to focus on so that your student would be ready for the next grade level. So tier 1 or priority 1 instructional supports, as you get this information from your teachers, is going to focus on objectives in core subject areas, basically math and reading. And as students get older, we can add social studies and science. And then as they get older into middle school, then the other credit-bearing courses in middle school can be a consideration. And that is because our goal with your student is that the longer they're with us, the more that they take ownership of their learning. So many parents have found that their students have been able to navigate the at-home instruction with the teacher support a great deal. That's not every student, and there's no way truly to compare our students because everyone faces different needs here. So when you get that lesson from a teacher, it will have a structured support within that lesson that says priority 1 or priority 2. So priority 1 is going to be readiness skills, things that they need to make sure they're ready for the next content. And then priority 2, we're considering that our continued learning and practice. So if we took our ACA's classical curriculum approach and looked at our scope and sequences, and then we thin those out a little bit for time's sake and the fact that our students are at home and not with us, then we're providing additional learning and practice tied to ACA's classical curriculum scope and sequence in priority 2 or tier 2 instruction. So for you at home, that would look like additional things that your students can be doing and exposing themselves to, learning about, and that's going to be provided by the teachers as well. So if I'm a parent who both my spouse and I are working away from home all day, and my child is away at a caretaker's facility, and the child doesn't really have instructional support access during the regular day, then what I would say is tier one is going to be my focus, because tier one should be equivalent to what you were doing basically as homework time. It's a narrowed focus with math and reading being the priority, possibly more, especially when you get up into higher grade levels like fifth grade and up. And our objectives are going to focus on readiness skills. There's going to be practice occurring. We're going to use the technology, the websites, the supports, and workbooks that we're currently using. And your teacher is going to be contacting your students and working through some of this with them. We are assisting our families by breaking down the learning into a suggested daily format. The reason that's so important that you note that that is a suggested daily format is because you're going to see dates that um, could panic you, because it makes it feel like a deadline. Like if you don't turn it in by that time, then that can create a problem. Now, obviously, we want to work on helping your students learn and make progress. So we're basically suggesting a timeline on an average family situation, but you are in control of what's happening with your family, and you have every uh, privilege to contact the teacher, contact the campus, let them know your circumstance, and you can change that suggested daily format into whatever fits for your family. Now, we as the educators are kind of like the trainers at the gym, where we are going to work to push you a little further to make the learning happen, and to make sure that your student has that progress. But you're the parent who has to know when enough is enough. And we will also assist you with that. It's absolutely going to be okay. And so we're taking this time right now as we set up these remote instructional times, as teachers are reaching out, that we're really focusing a lot on tier one. And we also have families calling us and asking us for more. And so your teacher is providing more by providing continued learning and practice, tier two, priority two. So this is optional for families. And if you have more time and more resources, more possibility, then you have more content that your student can work in. This is an attempt to cover all subjects provided in our normal curriculum, but not necessarily at the same amount or depth that we would normally cover it at the school. It's a work at your own pace format. We provide calendars of daily suggested work, but remember, it's suggested. The objectives will build over time. Just like tier one, right now, we're not giving grades, but we are giving feedback because we want to focus on the learning. And I'll mention some stuff about grades in just a minute. But generally, in tier two, all lessons are directly tied to our curricular resources. In other words, it's doing things that students should know how to do as far as the curriculum resource is concerned. Some of the online platforms, as teachers are trying to help your students organize, and they're possibly using Google Classroom for the first time or something like that, that's okay. That's a learning curve as well, and we all understand that. As every family is using a different type of technology, or they have different levels of access to internet, we're also putting in ways to work around submitting work and making sure that everyone's safe, keeping our social distance requirements and all of that as well. So that is our approach to remote instruction with tier one and tier two. As we go on into this, if we have to remain with remote instruction, then we will add a tier three, which is going to be additional enriching opportunities for your students to learn about the content that your teachers provided. And so please, please, please know that you are in control of this. We are a resource to you. We are a partner with you, and we're here to work with you on all of this. Uh, this is where we have to stop and take a moment to think about things like how social media can make us feel like we're missing out. That FOMO idea of fear of missing out, where it's not necessarily anyone's fault. It's just because we're different families meeting different needs, and we see something online where someone has just, basically created a classroom at home, and they're knocking this at-home instruction thing out of the park. And then on the other hand, I might just now be getting my first packet picked up because my spouse was out of town. I was caring for an ailing parent myself, and I was just now able to get to the school to get the Chromebook I needed. That is all absolutely okay. We will work together on this and make it work. So part of that is staying up to date. We are keeping all of our COVID-19 related information on our website. If you go to acaedu.net and then you go to the Families tab, there will be a link to a coronavirus update. And that is just going to be a collection of the information that we're sending out. Like this video here, you'll be able to find it there and refer back to it. Part of our services to you and our students is our counseling services, and our counselors want you to know that they are available. And definitely in these difficult times, your student may be struggling to try to digest everything that's happening in the world around them and why things have to be so different. Our middle school counselor, Galen Greathouse, is available, as well as our K through 5 counselor for primary and intermediate, Mrs. Jeannie Mowry. I've put their email addresses there for you, just because sometimes they may be at the campus and sometimes they may be working remotely based on their family's need, but they are available to you. So please email them and make an appointment with them, and they will be sure to contact you to be able to provide that support. All of our special services are continuing as well. Your student, if you have a special education student, a 504 student, or someone who needs those services, as well as someone that's receiving ESL services, all of those services are still in place. We're just working with everyone to figure out what the specific need is based on the new circumstance. So as we work on that, please stay in touch with your campuses as they continue to provide those services. If you feel like your student is not being successful at at-home instruction, please don't hesitate to also reach out to our district coordinators. Miss Kim Neal is our Director of Academic Services, and she also oversees our dyslexia services. Dr. Roy Watts is our Special Education Coordinator and Diagnostician. Ms. Courtney Boswell is our Coordinator of Special Programs, including 504 and ESL. She also oversees assessment. And of course, if your child receives any type of speech therapy, Ms. Baltensberger has already been in touch or has reached out to you, and she will continue providing services as well. We're very excited to have had our first round of food service. This is an ever-changing sort of paradigm as the USDA and the Texas Department of Agriculture keeps making changes to meet the needs of most of the families in Texas. So based on new guidance, we are having to make some changes for this next time of service. But the thing that's important to note is that all enrolled ACA students can get free meals. The new guidance says that we can only provide 5 days of breakfast and lunch instead of 7. So we will change our amounts to 5 days of breakfast and lunch. You can still pick up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You'll need to complete the form. It was released today. And that way we'll know that you're coming and we'll have a meal prepared for you. Make sure that you only fill that form out once. It's very important that in our documentation that we only have every family represented one time. This should also go out via remind as well, but we're also putting it on that website where under the Families tab for coronavirus update. One other thing to note that's very important is that the pickup location has had to move from the Bowen site to the Arkansas site. That is because of these new TDA regulations. We want to make sure that everything that we're doing is within their regulations. So we've moved it down to that site, and those instructions are part of the remind and the form as well. So please note, it does help if you participate. For every meal that is served, there's a reimbursable amount that helps us cover costs of the meals and also cost uh, of our employees. So we appreciate the opportunity to get to serve our families, and we hope that this takes some pressure off of the um, scavenger hunt of groceries these days. Here are some miscellaneous topics I'd like to make sure that you're aware of. Uh, all of our field trips for the spring have been canceled. So each campus is working with our business office to process refunds for any payments that have been made. This is specific to grades K through 7 because the money came to us and we have control over dispersing that money back to you. We are working with Explorica to determine the best method forward for our 8th grade field trip participants and the money that you've made deposits that you've made directly to them. And we're going to keep you posted. Just know that we're talking to them. I spoke to them yesterday. I spoke to them today, and we will continue to work with that and get with you. Speaking of refunds, right now we're going to go ahead and cancel all future invoices and automatic payments for H&H. We don't want any money coming out of your account that doesn't necessarily have to, and we're going to start processing those refunds as well. Just please understand that when we're processing refunds, there is very, very specific procedures that have to be in place because of the handling of public money. And so we'll have to enter everybody's information into our payment system, process that refund. It has to be verified against the deposits, and then we have to mail those to you as a check. Um, the H&H refunds will most likely be credited to those same credit cards that were used to pay it. Fundraisers have also been canceled for the spring. We want you to be able to focus on the needs of your family and your community. ACA will continue to receive the state funding that was expected. As long as our students stay enrolled with us, we will continue to receive that money, and that helps us to keep our staff employed so that they can continue supporting you at home and providing that instruction even though they're doing this remotely. Um, and then the Griffin Tribe Picnic, we're so sad to announce that we're going to have to delay that. It is our 20th anniversary celebration, go Griffins. But unfortunately, because of just the unknown of this time, we're going to cancel the current date, and we will reschedule that and let you know when we can schedule that. Listen, guys, we are doing all that we can, absolutely doing our best to take care of all of our kids. That is me and our new little baby goats. And sometimes when everything is going so crazy, you just need to go outside and soak up some sun, get some vitamin D, and play with some baby goats. So please know that that we are here to work with you, not against you. There is no judgment, just assistance. And I want to convey a message too from the board that the board of directors and I, we thank you very much for your continued support and your participation. Listen, our community has come together so strong, and it is so important and so vital at a time like this that we're there to support one another, and that's what we're here to do. So um, our offices are still open. You can contact any campus at the number provided, or you can contact our central administration office at 817-987-1819, and we'll be happy to help you. There are still some things that have to be decided. The legalities of things like um, how to grade remotely and how to move forward with promotion. Those things are currently being worked out. What you need to know is that if your student continues the learning, ACA is going to continue to support that and work to get them ready for the next grade level so that they can promote. If your student has been struggling all year and you and the school, work to decide and discuss the best placement for them, that is a whole different scenario and situation. But we are going to work together to make sure to do everything that we can to make sure that your students are ready for the next grade level. High school credits can still be awarded. So your students in the 7th and 8th grade that are in those high school credit courses need to be working towards evidence of completion on that. But again, what's most important is that your family is healthy, that you're making memories that count during this time, and that whatever we can do to help ease the frustration, ease the worry and concern, please don't hesitate to contact us. I look forward to getting with you next week when Director of Academic Services Kim Neal will be putting on some parent universities to just help support you as you are working from home and that you're working on this remote learning. I find it a privilege every day to get up ready and excited to go to work in a community that is just so amazing, so focused on helping our students. If I can be of any service, please don't hesitate to call me as well or email me at csims, that's CSIMS, at acaedu.net. We are so thankful for you. We miss you guys. We love our tribe. So please hang in there. Keep your chin up. Keep looking up, and we will look forward to the next time we get to meet.